Hello, welcome to the Meet RX Success Story Podcast. I'm Tracy, your host. I'm here today with our friend Jackie, and she's going to share her story with you and me. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Great to be here and to talk with you.
It's so nice to have you, and thank you for coming. And I'll start out by asking your first question, like, what was your diet like prior to coming to Carnivore, and what kind of health conditions did you have?
Awesome. Well, first of all, I'm 59 years old and I have run the gamut of every diet you can imagine, just like many people searching for what would work, what would make me feel healthy, not just look healthy. Up until my mid 40s, I had no problem losing weight when I knuckled down, white knuckle dieted and counted calories. And I did every single one, Weight Watchers, even Atkins, MetaFast, Nutrisystem, HCG, you name it, I've probably done that diet. And yeah, some of them I could get down to, I call it my fighting weight. But I could never stay there. I could not, without continuing being so restrictive, stay there. And so, this went on for all of my 40s. And then all of a sudden, something happened called menopause in my early 50s, and nothing worked, nothing at all. And what I used to eat before then was everything. If I wasn't on a strict diet like Weight Watchers, then I was just eating what everybody ate, snack wells, anything that was low fat, low fat was the key word. And come to find out now that wasn't the problem. It was sugars and grains. And in 2015, I learned about a guy named Vinnie Tortorich. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he is the maker of NSNG, which is no sugar, no grain, just a catch name for basically eating meats and vegetables, really, is what it boils down to, and nuts and different fruits that are low sugar, low carb, like berries. So on that plan, when I first heard about it, I tried to do it like for 2 years in a row, from 2016 and half of 2017. I was on it and off it and on it and off it. And I really felt good and could eat all that I wanted and lost weight. But I kept going off it because I have to admit, I had a carb addiction, major. I just eventually had to go have pizza or whatever, I would think about most of the time on the weekends, because that's, you're feeling good. And so in mid 2017, I finally did actually do NSNG fully from 2017 through 2019. Sorry about my dogs if you can hear them. They like to bark. And in that, I was very successful, felt very good, wonderful, but I never really got past. So my top weight, I should have mentioned at that time, was about 190 pounds. I'm 5'1", so that's a lot of weight on a small frame. And I've never, all of my growing up years, never had a weight problem. I was just average. I was an average person, never really thin, never really heavy, no eating disordered things going on then until my 20s. And all of a sudden was like a diet revolution. Everybody was on a diet, and it was a thing to do and to eat, things like Snackwell, Tab. I used to drink Tab. That was a pop that I liked. By the way, over here in Washington State, we call it pop, not soda, but I hear a lot of people refer to it as soda. Just want to clarify that. Anyway, I'm not a big pop drinker anyway, but I remember Tab being, it's a diet soda, or diet, pop. And so I did do all the things that everyone does. We all just want to belong and fit in, and all my girlfriends were on diets. And so it was the thing to do. Even though I really didn't have any problem, I felt I needed to be on a diet. Isn't that wacky? So yeah, that kind of messed me up for years. Just always, I would say, very focused on what I was eating instead of just eating intuitively and naturally, which is what I do now. But anyway, so on the NSNG plan, which I still love that plan, my husband is on NSNG and has been, and it's helped him quite a bit with health struggles. But you know, either you're low carb or you're carnivore, either one is better than the standard American diet, which is full of packaged processed foods. So in 2019, in my effort to exercise, I messed up my foot and I had to have surgery in October of 2019. By December of 2019, I went, by the way, on NSNG, I think I got as low as 140 pounds. And it was feeling good, not thin, but I was much better than 190. And I didn't have all the health problems, which were mostly the biggest problem I ever had was high blood pressure. It was huge. And actually on 2 medications, trying to solve that problem. And I never did go off of blood pressure medication until recently on carnivore. But, you know, I was much better. I was able to control it better, being not so heavy and eating no sugars and no grains. And so that was a successful diet to me, or way of life, as some people call it, was very good. However, I had that surgery and I could no longer be on my foot. I had to be sitting with my foot elevated for many hours every day. I couldn't go in the kitchen and do what I normally did to eat and survive and everything. So I just told my husband, just bring me whatever, I'll eat whatever. And eventually that evolved into just eating everything, pizza as well. And so I gained every single pound back. I was 190 pounds by December of 2019. And all my health problems came back too. High blood pressure. I had heartburn, like the worst heartburn, debilitating, wakes you up in the middle of the night. Laying down, it would get worse, you know, so you're trying to go to sleep and you've got this terrible heartburn. I could not take any of those medications like Prilosec or these over-the-counter meds to stop it. I couldn't handle them. They made my stomach very upset. So I could only do Tums, and I was eating Tums like I had Tums in my purse, Tums in the car, Tums at work, in my drawer, everywhere. I had to have it with me at all times because this was terrible, this heartburn. I could not handle it. And, you know, and being so heavy, I had lots of other problems, like I don't know what you call it, my ankles were so painful. My knees and my ankles and my hands, I used to call it fat hands. When I'd wake up in the morning, I couldn't even bend them. And I would have to warm them up slowly and, you know, get to where they were okay. But every morning, and of course, this is inflammation, what was happening, because I was eating processed packaged foods with lots of seed oils, which just, I obviously cannot have that stuff. And anytime I've accidentally had it since becoming all meat-based eating, I know it the next day. You know, your knees, your hips, your ankles, every single joint is affected by that inflammation when you eat the wrong thing. So, but the biggest one was the blood pressure. I had scary high blood pressure. I look like, you know, okay, not like I'm, you know, about to keel over or anything, but it's like a silent, deadly thing that can happen. You can have a stroke at any moment at those levels. And I had that. And they tried every kind of medication, every combination of medication. Nothing really controlled my blood pressure ever. And I did a blind study, you know, for 3 months or something when they put me on different meds, and I didn't know what they were, but they couldn't control it. That is like something that, I don't know if it's a hereditary thing, but for me and a couple of people in my family, blood pressure is a huge killer. And so that scared me. The other scary thing is type 2 diabetes. Now, I didn't have that, but all of my female side of the family have type 2 diabetes in their mid 40s. I think all of my wacky dieting had staved that off a little bit, but I absolutely believe I would be type 2 diabetic by now if I had not changed. So I truly believe that in the bottom of my heart. So anyway, listening to one of Vinnie Tortorich's podcasts. He has a podcast called Fitness Confidential, and he had ShawnBaker on there. And I listened to that guy and I'm like, okay, he's whack. There's no way you can survive on just meat. I really don't recall ever giving it a moment's thought, but something subconsciously must have happened because it kept coming up in my feed and my, things that I would look at on social media. And I'm like, I was interested at least finding out, well, how long is this guy going to live with just meat? I really thought it was some grand experiment, and it was in his beginning time of doing carnivore. He wasn't like a long-term guy at all, but he was very compelling, even though I thought he was crazy. And from him, in my searching in social media, I came across a gal named Kelly Hogan, who has a thing called My Zero Carb Life. And Kelly, love Kelly Hogan. I totally could understand what she was saying, how she presented what all the ideas about meat-based eating. And her story is just amazing in that she actually solved many health conditions with just eating this different way. And I thought, well, I have done everything else in this world. Why not? And my husband, I'm sure he's thinking in his mind, here we go again. Here she goes on some other whack deal where she'll only eat this, or whatever. And so I actually saw ShawnBaker on that podcast long before I went carnivore for good. But after seeing Kelly, I tried it. The first time I tried it, I lasted a whole week. And then the second time I tried it, I lasted a whole month. This third time is the one I'm on now, and it's been a year and 8 months. I'm on a year and 8 months of it. And it's the easiest thing in the world once you get past yourself, and thinking a certain way, like, oh, I miss having this or that. I don't even think like that anymore. I find it amazing how easy it has been since it was December, the day after Christmas, December 26th, 2019, when I finally, after sitting with my foot, elevated and in a cast and on the wheelie thing and so heavy, so miserable, so much heartburn, all the blood pressure back, every problem I ever had is back. And I'm sitting there just feeling terrible. I'm going to cry. Feeling terrible. And here's this smiling, beautiful Kelly Hogan saying, you can try this and it might help you. And so I finally, after I watched every single thing she put out, everything on her page, and other people that she talked about too. Sorry, I am going to cry. How weird.
Oh, bless your heart.
Do
My heart goes out.
people all emotional on here because their story?
Sometimes they do, but
Yeah.
Kelly Hogan, I know what you're saying about her. That's wonderful.
She's got a special something.
She
Anyway, I watched everything of hers while I'm laid up being fat, and I called myself Fatty McButterpants. That was my terrible nickname for myself back then. And I said, I'm going to do it. And so the day after Christmas, I started. And by the way, I call her my carnivore twin. Karen Miles started in December, same year. And another carnivore type gal that I'm so on the same page as she is. And we just connected. And Kelly brought us together. That's what Kelly does. She brings people together in an amazing way, as well as a couple other people that I'm going to mention before we're done here. But so when I started, here I am at my heaviest. It can't get any worse, right? Because a lot of people, they're on, keto or some other plan, and they get down to this lower weight and they don't want to gain. And sometimes that happens when you first start nourishing yourself with real food like ribeyes and steaks and burgers and stuff. But your body's like, oh yeah, put this in here and store it, because this is real good nourishment for, we can build bones and build muscle, and everything in my brain needed that fat that I was avoiding, and all that. By the way, on NSNG, we eat fat. So that wasn't a problem then, but that just 3 months of eating a standard American diet, I just lost everything that I had gained in those 2 years on NSNG. So it's scary how fast you can get to on death's door.
Is NSNG a keto? I mean, it sounds keto.
It's just really a lot simpler than that. It's no sugar, no grain, and you don't like measure carbs. I think keto, you measure things. I don't know. I can never measure anything. I once I stopped doing the diet mentality, I was so unable to do it again. So I liked NSNG because you don't measure anything. You just eat no sugar, no grains. And that includes high carb vegetables. Take those out, like white potatoes, sweet potatoes. Those kind of things are not, going to help you get to the healthy part you want to get to. So you just leave those out. On occasion, you can put those in like on a special, Thanksgiving or whatever. But for the most part, you just don't eat those things. You eat a lot of meat and veggies, and the veggies are cruciferous veggies. They eat nuts too. I have definitely an addiction problem with nuts. So I'm glad I don't eat those things because I could not moderate them. Don't let me get in Costco and get that giant bag of macadamia nuts because that's a danger for me. And I think of that stuff now in my mindset, like that's not food. I just think when I'm walking through the grocery store, those aisles with all the packaged stuff, those aren't food. They've fooled so many humans into thinking that's food because it tastes good, but it's not food. It is really not. So I have no problem avoiding those things. And just the thought of a Cheeto or any of the things I used to eat now is like, oh no. And I've already done it. So I know what's going to happen. The next day I'm going to feel terrible and have terrible joint issues. I'll be back to feeling like an old woman. Like right now, I'm 59. I'm going to be 60 next year. But I sure don't feel like it. I feel much younger than that, in the way I feel. Maybe I look 60, but I don't feel that way. And that's really what counts, is how you feel in the morning. Because you can fake it out there and tell people, oh yeah, I'm doing so good. But you can't lie to yourself when you eat things that make your body unhappy. You can't lie. Gut problems and all that. So anyway, when I finally went straight all meat based, I decided, because I didn't really like steaks. Growing up, I avoided them. I just did not like the chewing. No one had ever prepared, sorry mom, but you just don't, she would probably cook them well done. I don't know, but I can remember the chewing and thinking, this stuff sucks. It's not any good. So give me everything else but the meat, mom. And that's how I grew up, thinking meat was bad, not because it's bad for you, but because I didn't like eating it. So, I mean, the very first time I had a piece of beef that I liked was at a friend's house, and her parents had one of those fondue sets, and we got to cook our little cube of meat in the fondue and roll it and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I never ate so much meat in my life. And I thought, well, this is good. It's just how you prepare it. So when I went carnivore, I was worried about, well, I don't like steak, but I like burgers. So I'll just have burgers. So in the beginning, I had mostly burgers, and I learned how to cook steak. I still don't feel super confident about that. I watched videos, I try. Meat thermometer is key for me because I'm not intuitive when it comes to making a steak, but I have had good steaks and I love them. I love them. So it's just a matter of me, trial and error, learning how to make them the way I like them. So that's what I do. But really, nothing beats a good burger patty, and I can make one in 8 minutes right now, and I can have 2 or 3 of those, and I am seriously not hungry for 5 hours after that.
So how do you cook your burgers?
Most of the time in the air fryer. So I make the meat cookies, and I actually measure them because I like to know exactly how to cook it. And if I measure every time, I know how long it takes and what temperature every time. And it comes out perfect every time the way I like it. So I measure a half a cup packed of ground beef in a 1/2 cup measure. And then I use a burger form that smash it into a round burger and throw it in the air fryer. I poke a hole in the middle so it cooks evenly inside too. And 8 minutes in the air fryer. And that thing is juicy and it's slightly pink in the middle, the way I like it. And it's delicious. I don't even need any seasonings, although I believe in seasonings. So sometimes I just don't take the time, and I'm so, ready to eat that burger patty when it comes out. I don't wait for even putting seasonings on it. I do eat lots of seasonings on things, and I eat cheese, and I have heavy whipping cream, but I have found, because I am, in past menopause for years, several years now, that those things aren't helping me to lose any more weight. I still have quite a bit of fat on my body, even though I am at my closest to my fighting weight I've ever been. I'm at 130 right now, easily, not white knuckling it, not trying. I'm just eating, the carnivore way. I love all meats, not organ meats like Karen Miles, that gal. Wow. She'll eat pretty much any weird meat, I bet if someone skinned a raccoon, she'd try that, fry that thing up, whatever. Not me. I am just not that way. I've never even had lamb or any of those, but I'm willing to try them. I'm not out there looking for it. If I go, to a restaurant and that's offered and someone says, come on, do it, I would, I'm not above trying any weird things. However, I'm not out there looking for it. I like my comfortable burger patties. I love to eat fish. I have a lot of salmon. I have eggs. Those are the things I eat. And I don't have any regimented plan per se. I eat twice a day. I couldn't possibly eat more than twice a day. It's just, I'm too full. And now I feel I just eat intuitively, and I believe in doing that, just trying to go by what my body wants to have. So I try to listen to my body.
So you eat real food then, that's what you eat.
Yes, I eat real food and I love all of it.
Did you have any transitional issues when you went, when you first started out?
Yes, I had 5 months of on and off again diarrhea. I'm sorry about Luna, the barking dog. She's driving me nuts. The diarrhea, I did a lot of reading about it instead of going, why am I having this? Why is this going on and on? Luna, cállate. She's, anyway, instead of questioning it, I knew that, after eating the standard American diet for 3 months, my body was not going to just snap and be a fat burning machine. It's going to take some time. And I was really surprised at how long it took, but I read so many different things about the digestion issue. I mean, there was probably things being fixed during that time that I didn't know about. And I go, well, I hope this doesn't go on forever and ever. And it was, literally 5 months. And that, I hate to be dramatic, but like a euphoria came over me in the 5th month, and I felt so good. And I have not had, on again, off again diarrhea or any of that since then. I have really good bowels, and the kind where you go, God, that's good. I don't know. Nobody talks poop talk on these things, but that's a major part of our body's function. It's how we get rid of the toxins and things. It's a major way of cleaning out, all the bad stuff in your body. And so, yeah, I appreciate how little I have to go now. I don't go every day, and maybe every 2 days, and sometimes every 3 days. It just depends. I don't know if my body's using more things to create me. I guess, I don't understand all of that, but I know it feels good. And every once in a while I have diarrhea, every once in a while. And I've been trying to pay attention to when it happens, like, is it happening during the new moon, which is tomorrow. Tomorrow is the new moon, and our bodies supposedly shed all kinds of stuff during new moon time, 3 days before and 3 days after. So is my body going to get ready to release a bunch of toxins or things? I don't know. But I'm trying to, not that I journal my bowels, but I'm just trying to pay attention to it. So I'm like very interested in, well, what caused that bout of diarrhea I had for a whole day? You know, who knows? But most of the time I don't have any problem at all. And I don't think there's anybody that has absolutely perfect bowels, because we eat different things every day and your body uses some of it and others it wants to get rid of fast. And boy, that goes quickly when you have diarrhea. So I don't remember the last time I had diarrhea. I remember talking about it in my little group of friends, like, anybody else experiencing this? And we all kind of had it at the same time, which was really weird, which made me start thinking about the moon phases and stuff. I really am interested in connecting with the earth. You know, I do a lot of earthing, and some people call it grounding, but outside, bare feet on the earth. When I have any kind of anxiety, that's the first thing I do. Is go out there for 15 minutes and just connect, because it equalizes our electrons in our body. Done a lot of reading about that. I mean, there's so much you can learn. The thing I find most curious about folks that ask questions is, I just say, just try it. Just, you know, they want it, everything detailed out. Well, what do you do then? And what do you do? Just try it. You're going to learn so much through trial and error that I couldn't possibly tell you about, that I learned. I mean, making a steak is the first thing. I wanted someone to show me exactly how to do it. And even though I really studied it, I learned a lot just by trial and error. Oh, well, that overcooked my steak. And oh, that didn't. By the way, I never waste it. If I overcook it, I'm going to eat it, because some poor cow gave their life so I could have that steak. So I'm going to eat it. It's still nourishment, even though it's not prepared quite the way I wanted it to be. But that's, you know, trial and error is one of the best teachers ever. And you can do it now. Today.
And everybody's journey is their own journey, and each person has to find their way along. But it's really nice to have a community of carnivores, so we have somebody to refer to for just some of the questions. But yeah, trial and error for sure.
Well, I love when people ask questions. I love that, because to me, that's the beginning. You know, that is where you may find that this is the thing for you. And maybe it's not. Maybe NSNG is the thing for you, like my husband. Although he eats a lot more carnivore than he used to, because of, guess who's doing most of the cooking in the house? I just don't prepare as much of the other things anymore. It's just easier. It's so easy.
Right, it is. And so, Jackie, can you tell me, like, about your blood pressure? Did it take a long time for your blood pressure to normalize? And what about your medications and things?
I'd say in about 3 months, the blood pressure normalized. It really was amazing. Oh, and by the way, the heartburn, within a month, that went away. Who knew? That's what I needed to do to solve that horrible, debilitating problem I had. But my blood pressure is amazing now. It's, you know, when I take it, I'm like, still, I get the nerves, like, it's going to be high. It's going to be high. I'm scared. Every time I go to the doctor, heck, when I go to the dentist, they want to take my blood pressure, and I get a little bit of, you know, maybe it's PTSD, because I've always had, from my mid-30s on, high blood pressure, major. And you know, when I had my kids, I was in my 20s, and I had high blood pressure during the pregnancies. I'm just a high blood pressure kind of person. So I still get nervous.
Yeah, I think they call that white coat syndrome.
Yeah, maybe.
Because you've been there with the high blood pressure and you're worried about it. And so that makes it go up and all of that.
Yeah. My doctor actually said, quit taking your blood pressure. You're fine. Go by how you feel. And you remember how you felt when you had high blood pressure. Because I could feel, you know, like not like I had palpitations or anything, but I could feel my heartbeat. all the time, especially when I was trying to go to sleep. And, you know, you're laying there, your eyes are closed and still, and I'd be like, good God, my heart is beating hard. You know, I felt like it was very noticeable, and I didn't like that. And I don't even ever hear it, feel it, nothing now, nothing. So he goes, well, if you start to feel that, then you know you maybe have high blood pressure. But you know, if it stresses you out, to quit taking it. You know, you don't need to take it every day like I used to. And everyone would go, you're going to have a stroke. And then a friend would have a stroke. And it would be like this terrible cycle of, when is it going to happen to me? And am I going to lose or die? People die with strokes sometimes too. So yeah, it's good now. And I am off of all medications, all,
That's
including
awesome.
bioidentical hormones, which I was on for many years, trying to solve my problems with hot flashes, and not on those. I'm still having them, but they're not nearly as pronounced and debilitating. Those can be debilitating too. Because when I was in the thick of it, you know, in maybe my late 40s, early 50s, those years, I remember, you know, just I could never get a good night's sleep. I was waking up every 20 minutes. It was a hard time. And I was on multiple medications for that, the hormone replacement therapy. I'm not on any of those. I do try to solve issues. That the reason why you do the hot flashes is to emit all the toxins from your body. Your body no longer has a cycle to do that. So it's doing it through your skin. And so I try to help that by, my doctor has me doing Epsom salt baths at night before I go to bed. And that helps release some toxins that way. I do earthing. I try to align my circadian rhythm with the sun. So I watch the sun come up, I watch the sun go down as many days I can. Some days you can't see it, but you know when it's happening. It's very interesting, all these things that it's like natural stuff is actually what your body needs, not all these medications. And yeah, I was controlling it with the medications, but this is better because I'm not taking any, and I'm actually feel like I am controlling those functions of my body that have to happen. So
Yeah.
I might go through these little flashes that I'm having now for another year or two, but eventually they'll slip away. And I look forward to that, but it's so manageable now. I don't need the medications. That's the wonder, I think, of feeding your body the food that it likes and can use to make you a healthy person. And I am. I feel healthy, and I feel like I'm not going to die any minute. I don't, that's such a terrible way to feel and to go through life. You know, not that I really truly believed, oh, I'm going to die, but I thought something was going to happen, you know, some medical anomaly that will debilitate me even more. Heck, I've had surgery on both my feet. So many people have to replace their knee or their hip or other things. And when I see people who are struggling just to walk, and I think, you know, how many years of that will you go through before that deteriorates more and you're in a wheelchair or worse, you know, bedridden. And now I'm, you know, out walking every day. I love, I don't, have you heard of the carnivore doctor?
Yes.
Dr. Lisa Wiedemann. She's not as old as me, but she's in the range. And that gal, she's out there on the beach doing cartwheels and walking. I'm doing her step bet because it really does compel me to be more active than, you know, I'm not sitting on the couch. I don't even have a couch, you know, got rid of the couch. So I spend a lot of time outside now and in nature, and I love being out there and walking. I'm not doing any crazy exercising. By the way, getting down to this weight on those old diets, I also had to exercise a lot too. I really do casual exercise now. I wouldn't even call it exercise. I'm just active. So I'm outside walking. You know, our family, we run a 34-acre pear orchard. by the way, harvest started this week. So we're out there in the orchard. I don't work in the orchard, but I'm out there trying to support the guys and do things that way. But it's wonderful just being out in the trees and walking in the mud in my big mud boots and, you know, just enjoying life. It's amazing. It's amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah, you have really been on a wonderful journey and you have ended up in a really great place. I
Yes.
love hearing about your story, and I know it'll help many people. I thank you for coming and sharing so much with us. And I am glad that you shared about, you know, all of your older kind of diet, because that may be something that someone would like to try first and see if they can get to the carnivore, because the carnivore is really simple and easy, and like you mentioned. So thank you, Jackie, so much for coming and sharing. And
Thank you. I am on Instagram. That's where I do most of my carnivore talking, whatever. My handle on there is I am Jackie Jam. I used to make jam, by the way. Don't do that anymore. But I am Jackie Jam, and I love to connect with people, anyone in my age range, especially because I feel amazed that this carnivore way of eating, your body, if you give it the right nutrients and things, it turns around. It can turn around. You can have a better, healthier life. And it doesn't take that long to get to where you're feeling good. It's worth it. Worth that 5 months that I went through of transitioning. Yeah.
totally worth it.
I
Yes.
ate a lot of bacon during that transitioning.
Oh, bacon helps. Yep.
Oh yeah, bacon helps everything.
Meat heals. It's so awesome.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much, Jackie. And I'll be seeing you on Instagram.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.